subsidiary legislative committee. I'm not in that committee. If we have made mention of that.
Honorable member for Jara East.
Madam Speaker, I rise to throw my weight behind the motion. Madam Speaker, the constitution of this special select committee is informed that the selection extraordinary measures. COVID-19 is a serious disease and is real. Taking into account the death toll that it has registered since it started, I think it will go a long way, Madam Speaker, in fighting COVID-19. I have no doubt in the composition of the honorable members that are part of the committee. I believe all of them are honorable members that have mature judgment, that have integrity, and I have no doubt that they will deliver the goods, Madam Speaker. And I will urge the newly composed committee to be rolling out from time to time to assess the state of compliance with regards to the regulations that we have passed in the House here. And Madam Speaker, I will urge the office of the clerk to help in facilitating them so that they can go that will help us a lot. Madam Speaker, I'm also concerned about the trickle-down effect, and I believe fervently the committee will help us to know as to what obtains progress report, state of compliance throughout the length and breadth of the country. But more importantly, Madam Speaker, the funds that are earmarked for the beneficiaries must be trickled down. That's very key. The trickle-down effect must be felt by all means. And I believe the committee will not spare any efforts in keeping us posted about developments concerning disbursement, spending of these important funds. Madam Speaker, I will also urge the committee to go as far as border villages, because this is very important, so that they can know the influx of people coming and going, because that will also go a long way in telling us whether the regulations are being violated or not. Madam Speaker, apart from that, I thank the mover for a job well done. Thank you very much.
Honorable member for Nyamina East.
Honorable Speaker, the motion before us, Honorable Speaker, is to set up a committee that will be monitoring as long as the coronavirus is concerned, and as it was suggested by some honorable members during the last debate. In terms of the composition, Honorable Speaker, as long as my party is concerned, I have no problem with the composition, Honorable Speaker. But in addition to the responsibilities of the committee, the Health Committee, when we started the issue of coronavirus in this National Assembly, the Health Committee submitted a report in this National Assembly, and in that report, there were some recommendations outlined in that report. I think this committee will also take it upon themselves in consultation with the Health Committee to see that the recommended outlines or the points that are recommended in that report and again, right and constitutional matters committee, of course, we expect is set up purposely for the COVID-19. I think they can take it up with the Committee of Human Rights and Constitutional Matters, the Committee of Health, to ensure that all the recommendations that are outlined in each of these reports are fulfilled at the end of the day, Honorable Speaker. That is very important. Honorable Speaker, the most important part of this selection of this committee is as a result of COVID-19 and the monies, of course, that are coming, and we want to see that the money is properly utilized. That is why we are coming up with this special committee. Honorable Speaker, the fact that we approve the extension of the state of public emergency for 45 days, knowing fully that our people already started suffering, and one of the recommendations that was captured by the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters is to ensure that the finance minister or the government at large to have a relief package for the jobless people, for the hopeless people, for the voiceless people, and other people, the most vulnerable people in our society, Honorable Speaker. And I hope the minister indicated very clearly that in as much as the money that is available is concerned, then there is no package for now, and they are looking into the matter. So I will advise, or I will urge the setup committee to ensure that the recommendation that the Human Rights and Constitutional Matters Committee outlined in their report, it is actually properly followed up to ensure that these monies or our people are helped kind of. Because the Ramadan is coming and people already started suffering. Every National Assembly member here, Honorable Speaker, we are receiving calls from all angles, left, right, center, people calling, seeking for help. So I will hope with this relief package, if the committee should make that follow-up, then we will all be relieved. The ministers will be relieved, the National Assembly members will be relieved, and our people out there also will be relieved at the end of the day. This is what I actually want to urge the members to follow up. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Bunduka Kunda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, on Friday, when we left here, I found some of my people at my door waiting for me and asked me what have we agreed on. Honorable Speaker, the motion before us today is a committee, a special committee that has been set that will be mandated to monitor, to perform an oversight, monitor the implementation of state public emergency for 45 days as approved by us. Some of our people, things are not clear to them what exactly we agreed on, but I think today everything will be clear to them. Honorable Speaker, National Assembly members, I think we are all doing our quota to make sure we represent our people better. Sometimes it is hard. We all know our people sometimes don't see our effort when actually all national it's difficult. Our people don't engage us and they only stand to blame us. and sometimes we should take it upon ourselves and make them realize that we are utmost best to make sure that the fear of our people are addressed. Gambians should, we don't give this, we give them 35 days, but they should be rest assured that there is a committee we are confirming today that is selected by the selecting committee, which will be looking into every aspect of the fear of our people, so that there will be checks and balances, so that whatever their address is will be looked into. I think people also should understand them. Looking at the composition of the members, I have no problem with that. I think, in fact, every honorable member here is equally concerned about their people, and everybody in this committee will definitely look into issues to make sure that whatever is the problem of our people will be thoroughly looked into. Honorable Alajimbo as the chairperson, fantastic. Dauda Kausujawara vice chairperson, Yakumba. So I think the selection of these people is definitely recommended. Honorable Speaker, these 45 days is not an open 45. It is also clear that this committee will also look at things in case it is necessary. In case we know that it is no longer necessary, it can be revoked, and this committee will look into it, and if it is necessary, will make a necessary advice to make sure that we will not in fact reach to these 45 days. So for that being the case, let Gambians know that we are here for them. We are not just here for ourselves or to represent ourselves. There are many recommendations that we made, and we know that these people that are selected will look into all those things. And there is only one thing I want to advise the committee, that is to make sure that let them not sit down. Let them work very hard to work with the executive, to work with the Ministry of Finance, to work with Ministry of Health intensively to make sure that everything is properly scrutinized and properly checked for the benefit of our people who are very pessimistic about this whole 45 days that has been agreed on. Though we have different days, but finally we agreed on 45 days, and this 45 days doesn't mean that whatever it has to go up to 45 days, it depends on the circumstances or on the conditions. So on that note, Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much, and I would like Gambians to know that we are here for them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Serekunda.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. We have what is happening in the National Assembly. The reason why we have may believe that the National Assembly has given to the executive to impose a state of emergency in the country for 45 days. But what should be clear is that a declaration was made and actions were being taken and nobody knew where it will stop. And we should get the Attorney General to rectify this as quickly as possible so that we can get authentic copies. Because we don't know what powers we have. It goes further, Honorable Speaker, that in the case of the first, that's where it stopped, and then going to Roman figure 2, in case of a subsequent extension by the votes of not less than 3/4. So, Honorable Speaker, it means that we will not just be raising hands, we must be doing roll call so that we count to get the 3/4. Otherwise, we are not respecting the Constitution. So it means that our committee should look at all this and then we move to the actions that we should take. Honorable Speaker, where I would want to end my submission is that the role of this committee is to carry out oversight of the regulations it should not extend its bound beyond what it is mandated to do. We have, by virtue of the Act, and you can see that the Attorney General is extremely skillful. And Honorable Speaker, I was raising my flag, but we felt that he had offered us. We said 45 days. He stood and said, well, since you've offered me 45, even before we made the decision, then it's okay. And then he included the resolutions in his motion. And Honorable Speaker, you can see that Section 5 of the Emergency Powers Act is very clear. It states, Honorable Speaker, that emergency regulations shall not have effect during a period when an emergency proclamation is in force by virtue of having been approved by a resolution of the National Assembly under Section 34 of the Constitution, extended by a resolution of the National Assembly under Section 34 of the Constitution, unless the National Assembly has, by a like resolution, in such case, affirmed that those resolutions shall have effect during that period. And that's the motion he made, Honorable Speaker. So it shows that we have power not only to limit the proclamation, but also to control the regulations. And that is the duty, that's the mandate of this committee, to look at the regulation, educate the mass to know what is in the regulation, educate the authorities to know what is in the regulation, so that we all know what is in the regulation, because it is not known. It is not uniformly applied throughout the country. So it means that this is a mammoth task of ensuring that the regulations are fully understood. And if we see that the regulations do not serve the people, those regulations must be challenged. So it means that we must work hand in hand with the executive in terms of the implementation of the regulations, and to do proper impact assessment, to call for the institutions that are necessary to be able to effect those impact assessments. We have seen that they are trying to control the public space, where there is transport, where there is halls, wherever the population congregate is what they are trying to control in such a way that COVID-19 will not be allowed to spread. That is the mission. And the nation should understand that this is a battle for their life. It is not simply a state of emergency for state of emergency. Yesterday, Honorable Speaker, I was asking some people who talked about 45, it's 45 days, I said 45 days. Because the executive came to us and explained the situation. People talk about shutdown. Some are even saying that they were slow to control borders. Do you do so just unilaterally? We make recommendations, and when it moves to that, the population shout, instead of explaining, we cast blame. That is what must stop, Honorable Speaker. We must have one mission. The mission to do the right thing at the right time. What is necessary is when airports receive people, that you check their temperature and you'll be able to quarantine them. I say you're able to move them into protective custody so that you find out to save their lives. But you cannot do that unilaterally. There must be a law enabling that to be done so that you not violate the Constitution, Section 19 of the Constitution. You just cannot stop people from and arrest them as if you are arresting them. You cannot stop people's movement. So in short, to restrict those movements, you are violating rights. But if there are reasonable restrictions to be able to save life, this is what we are looking for. Restrictions that are reasonable and justifiable to be able to fight the pandemic and save life. And that is what we want to see by way of regulation, and that's what we should explain to the population to understand so that we have the same mind. Where it affects people, then we should know the impact assessment and come back with the executive and say, well, this is what needs to be done to be able to address those people it is impacting on. For example, Honorable Speaker, and I'll close there, the markets. You find people who are selling food, can't open. But those who are not selling food have to close their shops. What happens to them? That's what they are asking. And we cannot just keep quiet about that. We must sit with the executive. What new measures? Is there a way of reorganizing the markets so that they'll be able to sell without violating this congestion in the markets? Those who are outside of 100 meters, what happens to them? And you find out that they close their shops, others will come who are selling there and may not be respecting this 2 meters. What do we do about all this? Because they will feel that their rights are being violated. They close their shop, but others are selling, and they are not maintaining the 2 meters. This is the difficulty of enforcement. And then when the police come and drive them and arrest, we say, well, you are violating their rights. So political partisanship must disappear. Let's not utilize this for any gain, because our lives are threatened. Let's agree that for this matter, we are now together in it. In it, to ensure that what we do will be an example in the world, that will achieve the goal of proper safe spacing. That must be achieved. Hand washing, this should become a culture. Everywhere people can wash their hands before they get into any public space. Thermometers everywhere to check. This is the moment that we can still check. At the gates of all markets, you have this thermometer. You can check a lot of people. We can still help. We may not be able to do universal checking, but in all public spaces, we can continue to do the checking. This, Honorable Speaker, is what the National Assembly should accompany the executive to do. And where they falter, we should take a stand and ensure that they do. But we must not give promise that we're giving sugar, we're giving rice, we'll solve the problem of our constituencies. Or tell them we have a committee that will now monitor 500 million that will ensure that this money comes to you. We don't know what this money is all about. We need to find out how it is to be spent. We need to know, to quantify, to see whether in fact it is fit for purpose. 500 million. What can it do? Buying machinery or equipments, lab in all the regions. How much will that cost? What should be the priorities? So we want the executive to come and tell us the priorities, and now is the opportunity for this committee. I support its establishment if we do establish it, and the rest of the committees, where the health, where the trade, where the environment, local government, all committees are in it together, and this special committee should be able to consult all these committees and work together in their own domains. That is really the task, Honorable Speaker, and if we perform that task and educate the nation properly, they will see that this National Assembly is now the eyes and ears of the nation, and that we are performing our role to the best of our ability. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Lower Badibu. Yes, Willie is still down.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for the floor. Honorable Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to thank the members who were nominated for this specific task ahead of us. Honorable Speaker, I don't have any doubt by the members of this select committee, from the chairperson to the vice to other members. I'm very much comfortable the caliber of people that are in this committee. But just to remind ourselves that, Honorable Speaker, when this thing happens, that is the coronavirus pandemic, the Health Committee laid a report before this August body, and that report captured only Greater Banjul area, some part of West Coast, and some part of North Bank. The member for Sandu complained about this. Gambia is not only about Banjul, KMC, or West Coast. This is a national duty, and it has to be treated with nationality. It has to be treated nationally. And I will urge the chairperson and his committee members, let them go to the length and breadth of this country, and let the office of this clerk provide the necessary materials that this special committee will need. It is not business as usual, wherein when committees want to go for an oversight, they will be going today, tomorrow. I think the office needs to take a very good caution on that, because we are dealing with an emergency situation, and therefore it needs an emergency attention. Honorable Speaker, having said that, I will also urge the committee members to put their lens on the monies that are coming into the country. Let them ask, what is the purpose of these monies that are coming into the country? Because we are here for the people. When grants or other stuffs are coming into the Gambia, it has to be clear to the ordinary Gambians through us, what is the purpose of this money that are coming into this country? And also the allocation, which was approved by the executive for this pandemic. How are they going to execute this? The committee should be able to furnish this August assembly after this exercise. The reason why I am saying this, Honorable Speaker, we all know that money is money. Let me stop there. But, a big but, because I have seen the sign, the time that we went to board these PA systems. I will not go far, but just to give you the details, what happens at that place. The care of the health committee was there, and some members of this August body. Had it been that the members of this assembly were not in that place, we might lose, the nation may lose up to around 1 million plus. Why? Because people spend as they don't care, because it's public fund. Honorable Speaker, I think this committee, the confidence and trust that this August Assembly have for these members, I don't have any doubt in this, and I believe they're going to do their work as expected. And also, as I said, and I will echo this again, the office of the clerk, let them provide the necessary materials for these people. It is not like they are going today, tomorrow, or what. They need resources. They cannot do their oversight function on this issue without resources. And that thing must be captured. Honorable Speaker, having said that, we know that we are dealing with an emergency situation, but also we need to communicate to our people, let them understand the nature that we are in right now. Because some people don't still believe that this pandemic is true. They will tell you all sorts of excuses that these people, this is just politics, this is that, this is not true. And the purpose of we as National Assembly members is to clear their conscience that this is reality. This is what is happening. So, as I said, Honorable Speaker, I don't have much to say, but just to recall and emphasize my position again to the office of the clerk. Please, do everything possible to make sure that our members go for their oversight function as we expect them to do so. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for your observations. Honorable Member for Lower Nyumi.
Madam Speaker, thanks once again for giving me the floor. I want to highlight a situation that occurred on Saturday when I returned home. I was called by a market vendor who was panicked by the way the police entered the market and sent the people out. Madam Speaker, I would ask the committee to help us in driving away points to people in such a way that they would not be seeing it as very oppressive. The police could be overdoing things just by virtue of the fact that they are empowered to do that. The other part I would ask for is, Madam Speaker, very soon we will be within the Ramadan. That is the time given for the opening and closure of the market. It's from 6 o'clock to 2 o'clock. Could consideration be given that this time it would be from 6 to 5 o'clock, giving credence to the importance of the situation as a preventive measure. But notwithstanding, extension could be done for people to come up with their time. I would urge the committee to help into that area. Thank you very much. I applaud, I am in support of the committee and very much satisfied by the brains that have been selected to compose it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Honorable Member for Kantora.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Honorable Speaker, before going to the motion proper, I did stand here during the extension of the mandate and reiterate the need where discussions will be channeled, where the line of debates should be, is still the regulation versus the emergency situation. Once that is done, there, directly or indirectly, we are educating, enlightening our people to understand the rationale behind the extension of the public emergency. When debates were centered on the policies drafted by government, how it reflects on the lives of our people, directly or indirectly, making the advocacy level very easy for our electorate to understand that these are some of the policies that government intend to do to control the menace of this particular pandemic virus, and also test run the policies and regulations and see them that they stand the test of time and they are in line with curtailing the deadly virus that is the coronavirus. Having said that, Honorable Speaker, it's not by mistake this particular committee is called a special committee, and all and sundry here are in agreement that this is a national issue and must be treated with that national character. I went through the motion for the establishment. I haven't seen the method, the guideline that was used by the selection committee to arrive at these names. Honorable Speaker, if you follow previous procedure of this assembly, names has been selected to steer the affairs of Public Petition Committee, the Constitutional Matters Committee, and we are seeing a replica of those names. I would have loved the selection committee to take this pandemic as a national issue and use a national character representation of the committee, hence is 1 to 7. In doing so, every region is represented. It must have that national representation. It must have a national character. And it's through that it can stand the test of the adjectives that say that it's a special committee. If that is done, you wouldn't have heard members complaining about replica on party lines of individuals that have been seen representing their party in different committees. If that is done, it would even be seen as apolitical, because it's wear the clothes, it's wear the uniform of national character. So I would still recommend, if it's agreed by the selection committee, that such committee must be established to bear or to portray the national character, national representation. Hence, it's a national issue. Thereby, issues, I presume, of partisan politics will minimize. And this committee is not as if it's having an oversight over a particular portfolio ministry. No. Its works will be very effective on the much needed information, the much data they receive. And this could be done by all the members aiding them, supplying them with relevant information in their various regions. Because I believe when we adjourn today, many of the MPs, the day-to-day affairs going on in their regions. And if this special committee represents that national character, it will beautify a job, well-informed in terms of decision making. So, however, the method guideline is not spelled out by a selection committee. Everybody, there is no bad brain here or good brain. It's a National Assembly, it's a national representation. And therefore, consideration must be given to everybody, not picking heads of committees, bringing them together as a select committee, as a special committee. So I am reiterating this point. It's a national issue and be treated nationally. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Willie East.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I don't have much to say, but I want to make a comment on one or two areas. Honorable Speaker, because of the confusion, I've taken up my own time and translated the regulations to my people. And this has gone through WhatsApp and many other methods because of the confusion. I believe that the special committee should work hand in hand with the executive, especially on the plan that they intend to come up with, the holistic plan that involves the politics, the economy, the socio-economic, and other matters, to encompass as well most of the recommendations that we have made here. I think that will be useful. And the suggestion that was made that other committees, like human rights and so on, can work with the committee, I think that's a good recommendation. Honorable Speaker, the proclamation is not exactly spelling out this is going to go on. It is the regulations that are specific. For example, if we read the proclamation, it's saying shops that are not far from the market or that are within the market should not open, that are not selling essential commodities. But the regulation is saying specifically 100 meters. All shops that are away from the market by 100 meters should open. But those who are within that 100 meters radius, at least we have specificities in some of these places. Honorable Speaker, coming up to the terms of reference for the committee, I was looking at where it's saying requiring periodic updates from the ministries of justice, trade, health, etc. Regarding the situation and or implementation of the state of public emergency. So I believe that if the committee gets this periodic update from this group, they should be able to have a method of informing us, updating us as well. It's not just collecting it and keeping it to themselves. And when you go to the last term of reference, submit a report at the end of its mandate to the Assembly dealing with the issues and other matters considered during its operations. I am with the belief that we don't have to wait for the end of the mandate. Maybe even during the period, as and when necessary, the committee should be able to come up with a report to inform the Assembly or to advise the Assembly as to how we can move on. I think that's the contribution I want to make, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Member for Ilyasa.
Okay, thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I have no objection with the committees. I am very much happy with the selection of committees. I think I am in the same food with the Janjambure. But what I have to say is that let the Interior try to communicate with the people at Farfenni, so that at least the police or the security officers, they should try to respect that of the people. Because you cannot store somebody inside his or her houses without giving food. That's impossible. Because I was at provinces, I was distributing this water tanker to my people. I had a call from somebody. But I am saying that I maintain it at my age. There's nobody on this earth who can come and threaten me. If the government refuses or if cannot provide food for the people, they'll go out and cook food for themselves. And I say this and I maintain it. If they cannot provide food for the people, they'll come out and put food for themselves. I say this and I maintain it. It's not easy for me to mention his name, but I'm saying that at my age, there's nobody on this earth who can tell me. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I think I'm going to be the most brief one. I'll be very brief. Just to say that I am really happy with the coming up with this initiative. However, Madam Speaker, I have few observations that I want to make. The first issue I have, Madam Speaker, is the Committee Understanding Order 96-4. It's mandated to select the chairperson of the Special Select Committee, but not the vice chair. I think that is, and according to what we have, the vice chair and the chair is already identified by the selection committee. Procedurally, I don't think that is necessary. The other point I want to make, Madam Speaker, is this committee must also, we have to understand and observe the fact that there's already a portfolio committee for this particular issue, which is health, disaster, and humanitarian relief. So much as the Parliament come up with a special select committee for this particular situation, I want to suggest that they work hand in glove with the health committee. Because if you look at the situation at the outset, they were the very people who stepped on and do all necessary facilitation to members and everybody. So I think it's important they are taken on board in the whole process. That is what I observe. Madam Speaker, I have no problem with the composition of the committee. It is very good. But these points I made, I would like them to consider it. Finally, Madam Speaker, I think this committee also has an extra mandate or extra term of reference, which is communication. And in fact, by way of their function, they should take the responsibility to sensitize the people. Key among the sensitization programs should be the media. The social media is portraying a lot of wrong, false information to the public, and this is why many people don't even believe in this COVID-19, because in the radios, in the newspapers, you never heard, or it is never written that there is no COVID-19, it's a fall or it's a politic. But if you go to the social media, you tend to see these things. And some people believe in this. I think the committee should also use those social media to sensitize the public, and where they see all this kind of false information, they come up with their stuff. I think this will help us in this fight. That is what I want to put across, Madam Speaker. Thank you for giving me the floor.
Honorable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker, for giving me the floor. Madam Speaker, let me congratulate the selection committee for ably and wisely do their job in selecting these parliamentarians to this very important committee. Madam Speaker, I thank them for the job well done. But Madam Speaker, the motion to establish a special select committee to perform oversight and monitoring the implementation of the state of public emergency for 45 days. Madam Speaker, their role is to do the oversight and, of course, monitoring. But their role, in my own opinion, I don't think they will be able to educate the Gambian populace. Madam Speaker, yesterday in my contribution, I made it very clear in the face of the Justice Minister that they have a big role to play with regards to giving out information to the Gambian people to clear the doubts with regards to the regulation. I said the Minister of Justice, in collaboration with the Minister of Information, should go on radio program to inform the Gambian people about the regulations. It is the Minister of Justice, which is an institution that has the right, because they prepared this document, to go to Radio Gambia or any other radio station, GRTS, to inform the Gambians about the regulation. So if they fail to do that, this committee will not be able to do that. It is responsibility on them to do that so that Gambian people can know. Because these regulations have some legal implications, and they have to clear the doubts as to the spacing, which shop to open, where will people be? That's my contribution before the Justice Minister, Honorable Speaker, and I stand by that. Let me thank the Committee of Selection for having selected these people, and of course the mover. Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. This is my comment. I take my seat.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, I think it's only fair for honorable members to indicate their intention so that we can take the names and manage, rather than waiting until the end. Then we start raising tags individually. I mean, we had called for interventions almost an hour ago. Until we manage the time to the end, now I see tags coming up. I think next time, let's try to be fair and just indicate our intention. Thank you. Honorable Member for Sandu.
Honorable Speaker, thank you very much. I just want to appeal to honorable members and also to reiterate what Honorable Member Sedekunda said. Honorable Speaker, I think in this critical moment, we should also join government to inform and educate our people with the correct information. We are here for the people, and we should make sure that the day that we approve these regulations, the first thing in the morning what I did, I went to the page and update my people, also go to King FM and talk to my people to differentiate between the state of emergency and the lockdown. So if we stand here and give impression to our people that this is a lockdown, government should provide food, we are creating anger in the people. So what we need to do, please, we all have a stake on this, educate our people, let them understand what is the difference between lockdown and state of emergency and what the regulations entail. So with that, we help ourselves and we also help the people. When we think that maybe everything will boil down to government, you as a politician, you go and give impression to your people. At the end of the day, they didn't see. They realize again what you told them was not the truth. So definitely you are locking yourself. So give the right information to our people and we all stay safe in this country. Thank you.
Created member, Samusa.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor, and also I apologize because I came late. That's why I was not among the lot to raise the attack before. Thank you very much. I have no. There are a lot of talks, a lot of comments concerning about this $500 million, $500 billion, to take charge of the corona pandemic. So it is very important for this parliament to have a committee like this to monitor and know and update the assembly stage by stage. As they are moving, they are updating us, so that we'll be able to, as Member for Sandu has said, we're able to inform people, our electorates, properly, so that they can understand. Honorable Speaker, I said it here last time when I was making my contribution. I said, state of emergency has nothing to do with the regulation. State of emergency, if it has, but that does not stop that. That doesn't mean that when you declare a state of emergency. I said so many state of emergency has been happening in this country here. And never at any time people ask the government to pay them because there's a state of emergency. But because of the restriction, but now this restriction, we cannot say the government will pay everybody. Has to pay the public. People are moving now. In fact, what the restriction is saying, you go out to them just from where Serekunda market, I went around, understand? But the life is normal. Normal, not 100 meter, not beyond 100 meter. Everywhere you go, it's all the same, Honorable Speaker. We resume back to life. The activities are going. So, but what is important for this committee? To monitor the money that was given that has been approved. And also, this committee must consider that the activities of the oversight function is not on this operation is not part of our budget. The budget allocated for the National Assembly. So you must make sure that this 500 million, this committee must make sure that our quota, any expenses that is going to be incurred on this National Assembly, we should have ours. Not our national budget that we have approved for this National Assembly. This committee must stress that, because otherwise we're going to be the loser. We are working honestly for our nations, but at the end of the day, one day the assembly will be tangled. We will not be able to have other functions to do them. We have other functions which have been approved, which are in the national budget has been approved. But this one is an emergency fund. This is an emergency fund. Where it comes from, that's why they expect it from the budget. But the one that has been given to us, to my understanding, already will be approved. If this operation is going on, let them support the National Assembly. Madam Speaker, on that note, that's what I have. I'm really thankful to this select committee for selecting the people, because people like me, we have done our quotas. These are young people. They can run from here to Basse. They can go in and out. Now it's time now, understand, when the responsibility comes, we give it to the young people to head. Give them, understand, we are here to guide them. Guide you and tell you and share our experience with you. You see, what left now? It is you now, it is your country, it is your National Assembly, it is your nation. I am 60, 70 almost. Understand? So obviously, I cannot live for another, what I've beyond my half. It is yours. Do it with honesty. Do it with honesty. Don't allow to be carried by other people at the other corner. Be very careful. You are picked out of 58. 7 out of 58. And this is and the whole nation is watching. People are saying all kinds of things on this money. Please, do it diligently and honestly, understand, for the country and yourself. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable. And I am sure the selection committee must have taken into consideration age as well when they were selecting the members, because we are outside the perimeter, so we are at risk. So I'm sure they must have taken into consideration age, and that's why we have a group of young people. We are at a higher risk. Thank you. Birkama North. Yes, thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I just want to note that the Honorable Member for Serekunda did indicate if that can be added as part of the mandate of the committee, sensitize and educate masses on the regulations. That is very key. There are a lot of misconceptions surrounding the state of public emergency as well as the regulations. So to limit the function of the committee by scrutinizing the regulations made in pursuance to the state of public emergency and monitor their implementation may not be enough. These are exceptional laws that are made to guide and protect the people against the disease. It is not just made to punish. Therefore, in order to realize the objective of the laws, the people should know it to their fingertip. They should be well sensitized, and I don't think only the ministry should be in position to be doing that. In as much as we have a committee, let's mandate them to do that job for us. And then to scrutinize the regulations, I also want to note, as earlier on indicated by the Honorable Member for Nyamina East, the committee to take note of the recommendations made by both the Health Committee and the Human Rights Committee. Earlier on, I spoke to the Vice Chair of our committee to make sure all those recommendations are compiled and then can forward them to this particular committee. And Madam Speaker, on regulation, the closure of the non-food retail outlets in the markets. There was a concern raised. The closure of the non-food retail outlets in the markets, if can be considered for them to be open to a specific time, as the food products are open from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. For the total closure of these outlets may create a lot of havoc for those businesses. I think this was part of the recommendation that is very key. And then the closure of non-essential public places In the regulation, this part mentioned the public gathering of more than 5 people. Whereas I don't know how this will be reconciled with the declaration, as in the declaration made by the President, their additional measures were highlighted in the declaration, and then the 2 of them, all public places of worship shall be immediately be closed. I don't know how that will be addressed in the regulation in relation to this particular portion, public gathering of more than 5 people, as well as the number of people attending social gatherings such as the wedding, naming ceremony, funeral, shall be restricted to the maximum of 10 people. This declaration in the presence, in this additional measures declaration, and that of the regulation, I think could be looked into. It is creating a lot of confusion in the society. And then the other one is the reduction of the passengers and the fares. These I highlighted. If you reduce the passengers at the same time, also the fares, is creating a lot of losses for the drivers. And at the end, the drivers may even cease to operate. And that's going to create problem to the ordinary people. If there are no vehicles, there'll be no movement. If we can only have the passengers being reduced for the social distancing to be created and maintain the prices, I think it will be better rather than both the passengers reduced and then the fares as well. And finally, on the composition, in as much as there was nothing as heading regarding the methodology applied, one will observe that the methodology is actually in place on the basis of the representation of key committees that are very relevant as far as this issue, this matter is concerned. That was recommended in yesterday's deliberation or Friday, that key committees like health, trade, tourism, regional governance, FPAC, now that we don't have, in the absence of the subsidiary legislature, Human Rights Committee should be part of this committee. I can see that all those committees are captured. I think that is part of the methodology. As well as political party representation. Obviously, in as much as it's a National Assembly, there are different political groupings. We cannot divorce that from the parliament. And I could see that almost all political parties are represented, except for one political party. This is a special committee for a special matter. It will be important we have all the political groupings be represented. That particular party that is not captured, I would suggest, be also added. I think that is the that is the PPP. And by virtue of the competence of the people who are representing the different groups, we have no doubt that the committee will live up to expectation. Thank you.
Honorable Member for Lower Salu.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me the floor. Also, my intervention will be very short. Honorable Speaker, I want the committee also to take note. The ministers has alluded here for the time he was in the parliament. Based on the emergency that we are as at now, my problem here is where we really living people on provinces, are we not part of Gambia? In the sense that today, if you go to the Kaur Health Center, there is no protecting GIAs that is taken to Kauri Health Center. Max and isolation rooms. Here, I will ask them to take note on these issues, because I went there personally to see whether these protecting GIAs are there or not. On that cells, there was no material that was taken to Kauri Health Center. And I know that not only Kauri Health Center are suffering from these things that they only put everything in the urban drift. Nothing goes to the upper provinces areas. And I'm asking the committee members also to look on this issue also, whereby they can facilitate the provinces and to take note on issues that are going there. Honorable Speaker, the Minister of Interior and the Director of Immigrations, this is a concerned issue. During this emergency laying papers in the plenary, I have not seen the Minister of Interior and the Director of Immigrations, because we have borders in our end, and these are remote borders. Today, our neighboring countries, that is Senegal, they are coming in to take our essential goods to Senegal. I don't know what the Interior Minister is doing about that. And again, if you ask them to go through the border end, they will complain on fuel. There is no fuel given to them. So this is why it's essential them also to come and listen to the NAMs, and they take note, whereby they can facilitate free movement of their public servants to the nearest borders. Because I know in Kaur, all the length of Kaur is border. You go to Panchal, the same thing. The fuel that was given to me here to make my own citizens, I give that fuel to allocation to these police officers with immigrations, because we cannot say that we will stop this COVID-19 whilst our borders are open, because a person affected in Kaur, then the people in Ovandif, they will affect it too. So I don't see no reason why they will close the main borders. The remote ones, they live actually like people are going in and out. They should look on that issue too. The third thing here is, although the Central Committee has made a tremendous achievement, whereby they took various members on the political inflation. But here we are in emergency issue too. Honorable Amadou Kamara, yes, is a field of study whereby we all acknowledge that is the area that he studies too. If we can add up to 8, and in fact 9, because honorable member for Brikama Note also alluded political, how to call it, PPP is not mentioned in the composition of the committees. If we can add,
can I raise a point of order?
Yes, Karo.
Can I raise point of order?
Yes, Karo.
A point of order. Standing order 96.
So what I'm saying is, I am looking for which microphone was on. Yes, so there's no need to shout. Thank you.
Honorable Madam Speaker, thank you very much. My point of order is Standing Order 96C. The membership of a special select committee shall normally consist of a chairperson and 4 other members, and in any event, not more than 7 members in total. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much. I'm sure the mover.
Thank you, honorable member for Basi. I did it not reason because of I know that he has expertise on the area. This is why I mentioned his name there. Not because of I want to I don't know. But it's all right, honorable speaker. What I'm trying to say here is we need advice from them, because they are the health personnel too because now is their day. Now is their day. So, essentially, that was my submission, Honorable Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we've taken almost 20 interventions on this motion, and I think we can safely say that we move. Now, just a second. I noted Banjul North. I don't know how I omitted that. Just a second. Was it on your plan? Good. Sorry. See, it was on this list. Then we'll take Banjul North and Busumbala, and then we'll close it. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you very much,
Banjul North. And
yes,
please,
thank you very much,
can we be
Honorable
brief,
Speaker.
because we've had lots and lots of.
Yes, thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I should not have in fact spoken because I am part of the committee, but I thought necessary to highlight. To start with, I welcome the establishment of this special committee because of the special circumstances we find ourselves in. But I think there is also a need for clarification that the committee is being established to ensure the implementation of the regulations, to ensure the effective implementation of the regulations. That's the purpose of the committee. And then I'll come to that. But let me just tell the honorable members that we are in a situation that is very critical. First, starting with the population. Yesterday, I was on a radio program, and there is misunderstanding. Something is being portrayed, which you, or each and every one of you, should be aware of. In fact, we've had it here at the floor of the Assembly, and we are very mindful that they are accusing us of being accomplices of the executive, that we should not have approved the emergency extension of the emergency powers. What we should have done is we should have insisted that they provide relief first before approving it. So you see this misunderstanding, and this is being portrayed. That's the reason why we are accomplices. We are not caring about the plight of the people, and then this is coming to, bring a lot of suffering. When there is we are not calling for a lockdown. It's not a lockdown. This is not the civil emergency is not about a lockdown at all. It is talking about physical distancing. That's what this state of emergency is talking about, physical distancing. And also alleviating the economic suffering in terms of, like, for instance, transports. They said fares. But the objective of even this, as indicated by the Attorney General, is to restrict movement. That's what they want to do, as much as possible. So this is what is being portrayed, which is wrong, which I think each and every one of us should be aware, and also to clarify that, as alluded to by, I think the member for Serakunda has dealt with that very, very extensively. I need not go to get into that in detail, but this is, what is being portrayed, that, well, we are accomplices. And the other point also is that we are really getting into a serious situation. I've got warnings, strong warnings from medical doctors, that it has been highlighted here, that it appears that today is just business as usual. We have gone back to pre-proclamation period, which we need to address. People must observe physical distancing. They must observe physical distancing. They must observe physical distancing. It appears on the surface that Gambia has only one case now, reported case, which is under treatment, and then there is no other reported case. But this disease is deceptive. It's such a disease that if we are not very careful, we are going to run into trouble. And medical doctors are really appealing to us to talk to the people, to really observe the social distancing. If someone can say, like I said, the radio program, they were saying that, well, a hungry man is an angry man. So you cannot keep the person to stay, and then we're talking about our lives. Our lives. In fact, I even heard it here at the floor of the Assembly. Someone saying that a hungry man is an angry man.
That means let us not give them license. People must observe physical distancing because we are facing a greater threat with this disease. So that's what I want to say, that definitely this National Assembly had done what it is supposed to do. Of course, we vary in the duration of the emergency. Some are saying, some wanted a shorter term, a shorter period. But the Assembly finally agreed 45, so we have to go by it. But some of us we wanted a shorter term. So, but the emphasis is, and I've been telling them, in fact, at the program, that the National Assembly still has powers to revoke this. The executive can do it at any stage. The National Assembly can also do it at any stage. And that's the importance of this committee, that will be reviewing this, to look at the impact it may have on the population. And then, if there is need for us to shorten it, we do so. So, and I think we are vigilant. Coming to the mandate of the committee, like I said, there is something that is missing, that this committee, the establishment of the committee does not preclude the existence or operation of other committees. The Health Committee is going to continue its oversight, and I guess the third committee should also do so, because it is touching on commodity prices, commodities. They should also look into it. What this committee, I believe, should be doing is, and that's what is missing in its terms of reference, its mandate, is for the committee to be requesting, this special committee to be requesting or receiving report from committees, select committees, whose mandate have something to do with the effective implementation of these regulations. Health is among them, trade is among them, transport is among them. So I think that is missing. If we can add that there, that this committee is open. Like for instance, the health facilities, they are not being regulated. There is no regulation on the health facilities, and this committee cannot do that. So the health committee should be going to these holding centers, these isolation centers, even hospitals, and then report. If there's anything that has something to do with these regulations, we can share it with the select committee. So that's what I wanted to say, Honorable Speaker. But just to say that we are in a dire situation, we have to help the population. Our duty is to represent them. Our duty is to promote their welfare. Our duty is to protect them. And there is no protection more than them being observing the recommendations of WHO and the Ministry of Health of the Gambia, that is social distancing. The issue of relief can come. It has been highlighted here that if you go, they said those that are within the area, the markets, within 100-meter radius, and are engaged and are dealing or trading in non-essential commodities, have to close their shops. And if you close their shops, what sort of recommendations can the committee come up with? And they have shops that they are renting with the councils, some in private properties. So going to give them, ask them not to pay rent, or is government coming to support their rent, because you're closing them down. And these are the things that this committee should be considering, because it is impacting on them. And the taxi and the drivers also, we're asking them to reduce the numbers. The objective is to restrict movement, but they have to survive as well. Are we going to encourage government to reduce the pump price of gas oil and fuel and petrol, so that they will reduce the numbers, and then even maintain the fares as they are, not to reduce it as being proposed by the regulation? The committee can come up with this, that yes, let us revise it upwards, maintain the fares, and then also reduce the pump price, so that those passengers that they are going to they drop from their vehicles will be taken care of by the reduction of the pump price of fuel. So these are things that we should be really, pondering into. And other than that, we should not be promising them of relief, because we are not in charge of the money. Because this is what I was telling them, that it's the executive that will come and propose. When they come and tell us that it's $10 that we have and we want to spend it here, National Assembly cannot tell them to spend $11. What we can tell them is that, no, we can suggest that this $10, if you spend it this way, spend it that way, and it's up to them. But we're going to ensure that the $10, where we agreed as a National Assembly, that the $10, where the dollars are going to, we're going to perform oversight on them to ensure that those dollars are spent where we agreed as a National Assembly. And we have an appropriation budget, and we are working on that appropriation budget. So, honorable colleagues, honorable member for Sabah, Chanjal, the Committee on Health will be really on board. We will share our recommendations as suggested by the member for Nyamina East. Our recommendations, as we said, they have set the tone, they have set the pace, they have set the basis for work. Government has been picking here and there, so this committee can engage them to look at it and then implement it as it is. But finally, on my final note, the medical personnel need attention. The security that are going to be engaged on the front line also need attention. So whatever we're doing, let's ensure that government fast tracks the allowances we're giving to those on the front line. They're taking their lives. Gambia now, we have defense force, Gambia Armed Forces. But now the threat that we are under, we cannot be defended by any security other than those at the front line. The security included, of course, but those at the front line, the medical personnel. So on that note, Honorable Speaker, I beg to take my seat. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Honorable Member for Tumana.
Thank you very much. I think he, in fact, already spoke my mind. This is something that I feel that, is just left out. So I just wanted to buttress on it. And just other few points. I don't even intend to take the floor. But then during the course of the interventions, I feel that, there are some points that are missing or that they are not adequately addressed. So this is why I even raised my tag. Like, there is another thing that we also have to put at the back of our minds, especially this committee. We have to, because clearly understood by those who are supposed to implement it. Because if that did not happen, like for the case of the security aspect, they are there to protect the life and the properties of our citizens. So if along the line they did not understand the content of these regulations, they might be offending or tampering with the rights of the individuals who they're supposed to protect. So this is something that we also have to look into. And the other thing is the committee, again, like the sensitization aspect, these people should be, they should be appropriately funded and resourced. I mean, that's the budget aspect, so that, they can also help in the sensitization. And again, we as National Assembly members, we can also equally help the executive in trying to talk to our people, to sensitize them about the dangers of this COVID-19. In fact, these are the realities on the ground that everybody is seeing. Thank you very much.
Yes, Busumbala.
Madam Speaker, thank you very much. I thank the Assembly for coming up with this committee, a very important committee. But I want to start from the member for Banjul, Honorable Chair for Health. There is a very serious misconception in the country that the National Assembly is being blamed for. But I think it's necessary for us to clear it, that the 45 days is not a lockdown, but a state of emergency, giving the power to the executive, to the president, to come up with regulations where necessary to respond to situations. So in that, if there are rights being seized, compensation could come into. So they need to understand. And I think it has to come from us here, because there are so many comments that, the way even the 45 days was passed in the Assembly was not fair, blaming the Speaker. Some members are saying they don't support it or something like that. I think this was a general concession from the National Assembly that we want to give. So if at all we were not clear on what are we giving the 45 days for, we would have made ourselves clear and so that we can portray and disseminate good information to the people. This is what it is. It is not a lockdown, but a state of emergency. And you all agree there is a state of emergency in the world. Madam Speaker, there is a problem, and this committee needs to. In my deliberation yesterday, or on Friday, I have talked about this committee, that we need to have a committee to be able to monitor the implementation of the regulations and also the funding aspect of it. Because we are in a situation that we all need to know that the regulations that the executive is coming to come up with
It is never in the interest of anybody to tamper into somebody's rights, but because the situation calls for it, it is necessary for us for the executive council. So we need to support them with that, on that. There is an outbreak of a disease, of a virus that nobody is controlling, nobody cannot see it. And there is no cure for it. We have been seeing what is happening in other countries. A smaller country like Gambia, with poor medical facility, for us to allow what is happening in other countries to reach here, I think it should be everybody's responsibility to do anything that one can do at your means, and to support anything that will stop or will avert or prevent us to have what is happening in other countries. Madam Speaker, let us make it very clear to ourselves and to the people that we represent. COVID-19 is real. It's real. Let us tell our people that this disease is real. Some said, no, it's not real. It's just a political agenda. Let us just tell them that from the advice of the medical and what we are seeing outside is very real. Madam Speaker, in that, as the committee is going to be responsible, is given the mandate to scrutinize the regulations that we have and the regulations that are going to come. I believe, I want to put it to them, as it is now, there are queries about the existing regulations. Because one, maybe it is not well defined. Two, the population is not sensitized. Three, they have this misconception of a state of emergency and lockdown. This is what we need to be very careful with. Madam Speaker, I've been confronted, and this morning, when I left out, there is a group of people that came who need to be cleared, and it's the same misconception that the people have. But they took it upon themselves to come to the National Assembly. They were not coming for me, but for the General National Assembly. When they approached me, I told them you cannot see members because we are on session. But I took it upon myself to listen to them. Madam Speaker, there is one contradiction in the proclamation and the regulation we have. In the proclamation gazetted by the President, it says public gathering of not more than 10 people. In the regulation, we are having 5 people. I think there needs to be collaborations in what the gazette and the regulations are going to talk about. 2, Madam Speaker, you talked about public places. I want to suggest, because this is what is happening, let us be specified with places that we talked about. It has been mentioned, gathering like wedding, marriage ceremony, and the like. They gave an example. Madam Speaker, but the biggest problem that people are having now is our worshiping places. Worshiping places, I mean the churches and the mosque. This is not clear to the people. I think we need to have it as a responsibility upon ourselves to make it clear to the people. And then I want this committee to have engagement. You see, every regulation comes up, we believe that it is going to come up with the interest of the Gambian people. So the Gambians need to be well informed about it, and then you hear from Gambians too. Because I know every individual or greater percent of people have realized that this disease is real, and what government is doing is to their best interest. But when they are consulted, they could also give some ways which will not hinder or tamper on their right to a greater extent, and they will also partake in the execution and the implementation of the recommendations. Madam Speaker, I want to specifically talk about schools, public places. In the proclamation, verbal proclamation by the President, it was mentioned all worship places will close. So they need to be cleared out. Madam Speaker, people are having this belief, with their belief in their religion, that it will be better because they believe that this disease, as it is now, no cure, only to protect. And they also believe the greater percentage is only Allah that they believe can protect us from this. So they have this belief that if they are allowed to gather and pray
They believe that something positive can come from the fight of diseases. So they want to suggest, I want to put it to the committee members, they want to suggest if recommendations or regulations could be given. Let's say, for example, mosque gatherings. That's because they gather for some times. If a mosque that has a capacity of 50 can come with 25, and you have preventive methods like the washing facilities to be provided.
Observation?
Yes, I think I can read your mind, but let me just
allow me to go. Allow me to.
Please allow me. Let me observe. Let me just observe.
Honorable, it depends on what he wants. Yeah. Is it a no? Order, please.
Well, I just want to observe.
Serekunda. Yes,
you want to observe me?
No, please. It depends on what.
No problem. Go ahead.
Please, can I preside? It depends on what he wants. Is it an observation or a point of order?
It's observation.
Observation, then it's for him to allow. Thank you. You see?
Honorable Speaker,
follow the...
I have not seen anywhere in any regulation that talks about the mosques and the churches. And to mention it here, we may be misleading the nation. We should look at what is in the regulations, not what orders talk about. So, you know, I have not seen anywhere who said that the mosques are closed. So we should not really be talking about. The regulation does not say anywhere. I have not seen it. Maybe that it talks about mosques should be closed. So we should not talk about it. We should go instead to find out what is happening and how to guide those who execute to execute properly so that they are in line with the thinking of our people.
I really accept this observation. And this is the same point that I want to bring up. Because the regulations that have been given to us, mosques are not being mentioned there. All right? And then mosques are closed, imams have been arrested. This is why I want to bring this one here. I think I need to put it. You see, if I told this I want to make it clear. The regulations that we have doesn't cover public worshiping places. It was on the proclamation, verbal proclamation of the president. And then they were asked, mosques were asked to close. Up till today, some are praying, some are not praying, some are calling prayers, some are not calling prayers. Imams have been arrested. So that's why I want to make it very clear to the committee to put it to the executive. If they want to bring regulations, let it be constructive on what they mean. But if it is vague like this, there are problems being created. Because from the proclamation of the president and the real regulation we have here, mosques are not being included. So the question is, should they open mosque? Because there is no regulation for that. Public gatherings, excuse me. You see, but public gatherings examples were given. Public gatherings examples were given. They say wedding, naming ceremonies, marriage ceremonies. Madam, honorable colleagues, you see, this is a concern that I want us to put it, and I want to put to the relevant authority to look into it. Mosque worshiping places are so sensitive. When they want to bring regulations, let them be clear on that. I have it with me. You see, this is the proclamation from the president. This is the recommendation. This is just a gadget, an announcement by the president to the gadget. But the real regulations, there is no mosque. So I am talking on this. No problem. But this is, Madam Speaker, this is what I wanted to put up. And again, the committee, I am so also happy that I'm seeing some members of the security committee. I believe somebody made mention about security. They need to be included. They need to be included. They need to be provided with anything, everything to do their job. Madam Speaker, I want to emphasize. I want to emphasize to this committee and to the executive, to everybody, because from the narrations and the explanation I'm getting from people, they are telling us that, as he said, if you go to the market today, it's as if nothing is happening. People don't seem care because they have other things in their mind. People are working. It seems they don't even believe that the virus is in the country. Madam Speaker, I want the executive to strengthen our borders. to strengthen our borders. Our uniformed men those are at the borders need to be provided for to be able to allow, not to allow anyone to come in. Madam Speaker, somebody called me yesterday, whom I miss a lot, telling me that I'm just arriving from Senegal. I said, well, how could you come to Gambia when the borders are closed? He said, you know it. You know it, then there is malpractice happening at the border. Let them not compromise the borders. Let them not compromise our borders. Let them strengthen the borders. Madam Speaker, I want to put it to the committee to look into that seriously. That let the ministry or the executive strengthen the borders and involve the securities into it. Somebody mentioned about putting the regulation very clear to the securities, or else they might be overdoing some things which is not part of the regulations. Madam Speaker, these are my points, because I believe they are genuine points from my people, and I never want to see my people going against the regulation of the government. Because otherwise, they could be arrested, they could be taken to police for something that they feel that they are not being informed about it, they feel that otherwise. So that's what I want. I want anything being said by the president, any regulation that comes up, people observe it and observe it in the way that it should be observed. So, Honorable Madam Speaker, I thank you very much.
Your points are well noted, but I have exhausted my list. Thank you very much. I think that was all I had on the list of honorable members who wanted to raise issues. So I will now call on the Honorable Majority Leader to respond to the issues that have been raised by honorable members and equally wind up the debate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. I want to thank all honorable members who have contributed in the debate on the motion, and I have just summarized some of the key issues that were raised, and I tried to put all of them together. On the issue of the selection criteria and also how do we arrive at the list, as alluded to, some of the members have just mentioned some of the key committees that are very relevant to the COVID-19, and that's why that was also our view, and we started the nomination and identifying of the candidates. Based on that, we came out with the list. If you look at the list, like we have Honorable Alajimbo, he is playing double roles in the committee. His expertise in ITC and then also looking at other communication issues, and he is also a member of the FPAC. We also have Honorable Dauda Kausu Jawara, who is a member of the Security Committee. We also have Yakumba doubling in as a legal person and also trade. We also have Usman Silla, Honorable Usman Silla, who is the chair of the Health Committee. We also have Honorable Omar Dabo dealing with the environment. And I think people are not talking much about environment, but this is very key in the fighting of COVID-19. Environment is very key. So that's why we have people like Omar Dabo from that environment. And we also have Salif Jao, Honorable Salif Jao, and then Honorable Sunkar Baji. We also look at the political parties. All the political parties are looked into. And if you look at the list, the PPP was consulted, and they said that because of their number, they don't think they can be part of this committee. We allow other parties to be represented in that. So that's why PPP was not listed. But if you look at the list, all the other political parties were included. And the leader of the opposition, the leader of the minority group also give the assurance to the committee to concentrate on the key committees that are dealing with and relevant to COVID-19. So that brought us to the list of 7, not going beyond as specified in the standing orders. A lot of people also talk about the misconceptions and information sharing. I think this is very key. We have said this over and over. The Ministry of Justice, Ministry of Information, Trade and Defense should have to come and sit down, and then the Ministry of Justice has to take the lead in the interpretation and also the development of messages to be aired on the communication channels that are going to be used, so that everybody dealing with these issues are speaking the same language and they are passing the same message to the people. And I think this committee is also very relevant. It is a special committee which is going to be specifically for COVID-19. If we can, the pandemic can be controlled in the next 3-4 months, this committee is going to be squashed up. And it is the responsibility of the clerk and his office to give priority to the committee in these trying times. So we are going to, as much people as alluded to, we are urging the clerk to give priority to this committee so that they are helped to do all their work. But it is not going to stop all other committees also to do their regular committee work so that they can be able to feed on to their reports and suggestions to the committee as they go along. And some people also talked about the reports that were produced by the Health Committee and also the Human Rights Committee. The committee is going to request from these two committees to do a summary of the key recommendations that were laid before the House here and then put them together with the report so that it helps them to be able to check and see where do they go from there and what are some of the results and what are some of the findings that they need to share with the various relevant ministries, departments and agencies. And all departments and agencies that are relevant in this fight against COVID-19 will ensure that they play their role and they are more in the center to be participating in this thing. Somebody talked about disaster management agency.